Okay, hello everyone. In Korea is Christmas today. So Merry Christmas everyone. Okay, tonight. Yeah, wow, it's a lot of people for Christmas. Tonight, let's start with taking a look at what Master Líng Yòu, the Wei Shan Master, taught to his people. Okay. So he went up to the hall to instruct the assembly. He said, a Wei cultivator's mind is straightforward, not fake, not underhanded, no pretense. All right. Got straight to the point. Chan cultivation or meditation is about working on the mind, okay, and this mind here that we need to work on should be straightforward, okay. Chữ is straight, okay. It should be straight, meaning that whatever is in your mind should be straight, should be direct, should not be fake, okay. Should have nothing false about it, okay. Not wu bei. Wu bei is not bei is a back. So underhanded is a good translation. It should not be. I don't know how to express this. Should have wu mian. Wu mian is that you should not put up facades. Okay. Okay. Should not underhanded wu bei. Should not secretly contradictory to the truth behind the scenes. So this is very straightforward and very, very direct. He says, if you want to practice, if you want to become enlightened, okay, then your mind must be straightforward, should not be tortuous. Okay? Whatever is there, speak it out straight, express it in a straightforward way, and do not be false. Do not contradict yourself, contradict the principles, and do not be so attached to facades, do not create pretenses. All right? So right straight away, he says that you practice meditation, especially meditation, then this mind of ours should be very, very, very straightforward. All right. 无诈, wang xin xing. Okay, and there's no cheating, and there's no false mind or misconduct. Okay. At all times, he sees and hears as usual, even no bending or crooked. 一切是这种坚定行长。So, at all the times, okay, whatever he sees, whatever he hears, meaning all his perceptions, all his sense organs, he seek to be the normal, the ordinary, okay, which is not Wei Qu, no bending or crooked. Okay. Next, also he does not close his eyes or plug his ears. Okay. Yeah. Sire. Okay. So furthermore, he does not reject what he sees from his eyes or pretends that he didn't hear from his ears. Only when emotions are not attached to any object, then immediately it is attained. When emotions are not attached to any object, what does it mean? Then when emotions are not attached to any object, what does it mean? You look at anything outside of yourself, whatever your sensory organs register, okay, anything, then you give rise to no emotions. Then immediately it is attained. If your mind is straight, it's no false, it's not crooked, there's no pretenses. All these are the worldly aspects of the mind. When we were younger, we were a lot more honest, we were a lot more straightforward, a lot more simple-minded. As we grow older, we learn more and more, and naturally, the mind becomes naturally more, creates more attachments. And when we get in touch, we come into contact with external things, we have emotions, we have attachments that arise in our minds. Okay? So he says that if you can come into contact with external things and you have give rise to no emotions, no mind at all, then immediately you attained it. Attain what? What do you immediately attain? What are you supposed to attain? Anyone?
đắc được cái tâm thanh tịnh.
Says the mind, the pure mind. What is the pure mind? YouTube has an answer. Maybe it has.
Jewel Mountain says liberation.
Liberation. Jewel Mountain has liberation. Yes, all those things. 积德 here. When we come into contact with external things and we have no emotions, what he's talking about is that when we, our sensory organs are in touch with the outside world and we have no emotions, we do not give rise to any emotions. What are emotions? 不负物, okay? Okay, 积德. So when you come to contact the outside world and you have no emotions whatsoever. What are emotions? Basically, emotions are, we can understand emotions as like or dislike, approval or rejection. All those emotions that naturally arise in our mind, then we attain it. YouTube answer?
Emily says it's marks.
Sorry?
Emily says it's marks.
Sorry.
What are emotions?
Huh?
No, Emily answers marks.
Marks, attain marks. No. Immediately when you come into contact with things and you have no emotions, nothing, no emotion arises in your mind, there's no dislike, there's no like, there's no rejection, there's no approval, then you attain it immediately. Okay? You attain liberation, you attain a pure mind. A pure mind, in Chan meditation, pure is the absence of thoughts. Okay? Then you attain purity, you attain liberation, or in brief, you restore your original mind, your inherent enlightened mind. Okay? Next. From the past, all sages only said mistakes and miseries of turbid places. So, he says, in the past, okay, the people who are enlightened, the sages, okay, only talk about the turbid places, mistakes, and miseries. Okay, so he's referring to the fact that the sages, when they taught, when they tried to teach us in the impure lands, in the places like our Saha world, that's turbid places, the sages, they came to our world, our Saha world, where we are. They came to talk about mistakes and miseries. What mistakes, what are miseries? They talk about the mistakes that people make that create miseries for themselves and for others. Okay? The sages don't come to the world and they rarely praise you. They rarely heap praises on you. They rarely commend you on your good things. The sages, okay, they only talk about, the true sages only talk about your mistakes and the sufferings, the pain and sufferings, deep pain and suffering that you experience, that that most people try to refute, try to ignore, try to disconnect from. Isn't that interesting? That the great master says the sages are only here to bring us bad news and bring us to point out our suffering. Not here to praise us, not here to laud our successes and our superiority. Okay, yeah. And that's typical of how my late Chinese master taught me. He never praised me at all, ever. All the time I knew him, okay, and he never praised me. Always pointed out mistakes. Always pointed out my errors. All right? And the miseries, what is the difference? Why do they point out mistakes and why do they point out miseries? What he's referring to is miseries are the suffering, the deep pain that you experience, that people experience. And for ordinary people, quite often ordinary people try to sweep those miseries under the rugs. They don't acknowledge the miseries because it's too much for them. They cannot handle, they cannot admit they're miserable, they are suffering. Okay, this is what we ordinary people tend to do. And what about mistakes? Mistakes here refers to they try to associate the causes for those miseries. Okay, miseries are the results from the mistakes that you made. Okay. Furthermore, it's not just for common people, ordinary people. The more advanced you become in your spiritual practice, the more sensitive you are to the connection between the mistakes you make, the causes, and the suffering or the resulting suffering from those mistakes. All right? Even the other sages, even those who are enlightened, even those who have wisdom, okay, sometimes need to be pointed out their mistakes. Okay, so sages even appear in the world to point out mistakes of other sages. Even though those sages, they come to the world, okay, they stop being miserable, they're no longer miserable. Okay? And that's why it's much more important that the other sages, the higher level sages, have to point out their mistakes. All right? What are the implications? Okay? First of all, for ordinary people, we are not aware of our sufferings. We deny them, and if we are slightly aware of them, we tend to deny them, that we have no sufferings. Okay? we don't recognize that we are suffering. If we have a little bit of suffering, then we deny any type of suffering, all right? Because our mind cannot take it, okay? And the mistakes are the causes of the suffering, and therefore, the sage's job, in order to help us, in order to teach us, they point out our mistakes. Teaching, the sage's teaching, they came to our world, they came to us in order to point out our mistakes. In a Chan school, in particular, in a Chan school, we don't tell you your mistakes. What do? How do you teach people in Chan? This is what drew me to Master YongHua, my late Chinese teacher, when I first met him. And after that, I could not find it in other teachers. After he passed, after he died, I started looking around for another good advisor. I could not find it in any good advisor. Yes, you too.
Wei Mountain says, we give them tools to find out themselves.
Give the tools to find out themselves. Okay, what tools? YouTube.
Wei Mountain says it's Master's Dharma Talks.
Master's Dharma Talks. Master Dharma Talks are very voluminous. There's a lot of Dharma Talks. What are characteristic of those Dharma Talks? This is really made my Chinese teacher stand out. There's no one else who does this. No one else alive, including the other so-called Wei-Yang patriarchs. His disciples are qualified Wei-Yang patriarchs as well. Okay. And I went to Asia and met another Wei-Yang patriarch, and I read the other patriarchs in general. Okay, and none of them does this the way that Master YongHua does. Okay. What does he do? What he does is to give you instructions on what to do. He doesn't talk. He tells you, do this, and do this. Okay? He doesn't... This is so ingenious, because if you follow the instructions, if you really appreciate the instructions of a good known advisor, then what you do is to execute and follow the instructions. Okay, so he has detailed instructions on how to do it, what to do. And when you do those things, then you realize your mistakes and you discover your own miseries. Whereas the other teachers I went to, they only talk about theory. They only talk about the scriptures. They only talk about what we should know, what the scriptures say we should know, they only talk about theory only. The great patriarchs like Master YongHua, they talk more about the shu, the li, is that what typically the teachers talk to you about, tell you only the general theories, the generalities, whereas what's lacking is they don't tell you how to understand those theories, how to connect with the theories. Okay, so the theories are what you pick up from the books. The theories is what you can hear from the other people, but the li, okay, is that with the theory, and the actual executions, actual instructions are the specific things that you need to do for yourself in order to understand the theories. So, for example, okay, he talked about, Master Líng Yòu talked about you have to be straightforward. You talked about you have to be not phony. He talked about not put up facades, right? Everyone understands that, yes? What are those? Those are the mistakes that we make. Okay? We all have this tendency that we like to be liked. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. We want approval from others. That's a mistake. And because of those deep-seated desires to want to be approved, to be liked, to be right, that when we don't have those, we are miserable. So far, so good? But Master Shiva took one step further. Okay, he gives us specific instructions, okay, that will help us see our mistakes. So, for example, we started our lineage with asking you to sit, to do sitting meditation. And we even make it more difficult for you by asking you to sit in full lotus. Train yourself to sit in full lotus. Okay, that simple instruction right there, sit in full lotus, causes all kinds of problems in us. Okay, the pain arises. What do? We want to unbuckle. We don't like it, right? And so, what do people do? When you have pain, when you don't like it, what do you do? I'm asking you, what do you do? You say that I don't like it. Yes? You say, I don't like it. Okay? I don't like this. I don't like the pain. Okay? Because it hurts. Yes? Okay? And you too, go ahead.
I was just about to answer, but the user retracted his message. I don't know if I should read it right now.
What?
I was just about to answer this user, but he retracted the message as soon as you...
So he retracted the message.
He retracted his answer.
Never mind. You don't like it, right? So, because you don't like it, what do? Because you don't like it, what do you do? Yes? Okay. Use the phone, please. Microphone, please.
Sorry. Master, you stop doing it?
Yes, you say, I don't want to do this. Absolutely. Yes? You say, I don't want to do it. Okay? If you're at home, you say, I don't want to do it. Right? But what if you're with someone else? What do? You say, I don't want to do it. Are you brave enough to do that? Yeah, go ahead.
Master, when we were others, we come up with reason not to do it.
Right. You make excuses of why you don't want to do it. Right? Why do you have to come up with excuses? Because facade, yes? You don't want to lose face. Everyone else is there. There's so many people there, another person there, so you need to justify yourself to someone else. You don't want to lose your face. You want to protect your ego. Yes? So when you make excuses, do you say that's when you make excuses, that's when you reveal your weaknesses? Yes? In your mind. Not to others, in your mind. Right? Yes, you open your mouth and you go, no, I want to do it because so-and-so. It hurts too much because I don't have time, because I don't need to do this, and so forth. Different people have different excuses. Right? What do we do as instructors then? What do we do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why don't we do anything? Because it's free meditation. We don't get paid. We don't have to do anything. Don't try so hard to teach people. All we do is give them instructions, cross the legs, okay? And it hurts. And we wait for people to come up with excuses to tell us, but what happens is inside, okay? When we say something, you say, I really don't have time, okay? This doesn't make sense to me. And what happened is that internally, this is what is so clever about this thing here. We ask you to do something that you don't like, okay? This is the secret. We ask you to do something you don't like. And we wait for you to make excuses why you don't want to do it, why you want to quit. How long would it be before you quit? So every time at the initial stages, you learn to meditate, we ask you to cross your legs. Of course, it's going to hurt. Okay? Most people eventually will hurt. Okay? And And so what everyone must face is the reason inside why we want to quit. Right? So we have to face it inside. Whatever you say outside doesn't matter. But inside, in your heart, in your mind, you know the real reason that you want to quit. Yes? You know that yourself. You don't need to tell anyone. This is what's so clever about this process. You know the real reason you want to quit. But outside, no, I really don't have time. No, I don't believe sitting meditation is not that important. Okay. No. I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself and so forth. But what happened is inside, deep in your heart, you know the real reason why you want to quit. Okay, and if you with others. If you by yourself, it's easy. Okay, you slouch and you wiggle and you shift the heels a little bit. Okay, but when you're with others, it doesn't look good, does it? Okay, so what's clever about this is that you facing yourself right there. You're facing, you know you yourself, you know why you want to quit, why you can't take it. Whatever you say is whatever you say outside, that's fine. But inside, you know the real reason. Yes? And if, as an instructor, you get them to sit longer, okay, it's because your mind has to face, if you're able to sit longer, you're faced with that tendency to put up facades, okay, to make excuses, okay, to admit that you are afraid of pain. To yourself, I don't like this, I'm afraid of this, okay? And if you're able to sit there and you're able to continue, okay, then your mind naturally becomes honest with oneself. You can't run away from it. If you are in a position that you must endure it, okay, because of facade, because you want to look cool, you're under peer pressure, okay, and then you discover that your mind, okay, when you put up with it, then your mind becomes more straightforward. Questions or comments? Is that what happened to you? Or not? Is this too personal for you? You don't want to bring it up, you want to face it, you don't want to admit it? All right?
Oh, blue.
Yes, blue.
Well, I guess this is more personal, but I've been meditating several hours a day, doing full lotus until recently. I'm having difficulty where the pain in one of my legs is increased dramatically. I have now some issues with a hernia that I don't know I'm not tying the two because it could have caused from anything. I don't know what happened. My father had this when he was about my age. But now I'm trying to wade through this, and I understand that I'd love to improve myself, but clearly there seem instances where it seems like my physical body, I'm not sure how to get around it.
Okay. So this is another level where once you pass the initial stages of whether you're willing to follow instructions or not. The first phase, you follow instructions, okay? And if you don't follow instructions, people, it's a very good way to screen out people who are absolutely not willing to face themselves. They will make excuses not to sit, not to follow instructions. So far, so good? Okay? That means that for those people, Chan meditation is not for them. They are not truthful to themselves. They're not straightforward. They're not honest to themselves. All right? On the other hand, the opposite is that if your mind is straightforward and your simple mind is, I don't like it, I hate this, okay, it's very painful, I'm worried about hurting myself, so forth, okay, then with that kind of mindset, you are able to overcome the initial discomfort and the initial pain fairly easily. It's a test of whether your mind is straightforward or crooked. It's a test of whether you trust the instructions or not. The mistakes that we make, okay, in our normal life, big mistakes we make is that we only trust ourselves. We know better. We don't trust anyone else. Okay, so instructions, if you follow instructions, then you're avoiding making that mistake. The big mistake in life is to trust only yourself. When someone says, I trust only myself, I trust myself, no one else. I love God, I love Buddha, okay? But I trust myself first. God is God, Buddha is Buddha, but I trust myself. I'm for real. God is, hallelujah, Buddha, wonderful, but I trust myself, okay? I don't trust you, in other words. So far, so good? That's a big mistake. So the instruction of these sages to give you, they give you, whether crossing your legs, whether it's walking, whether it's bowing, so forth and so forth, are bringing out that tendency right there, that natural reflex reaction is, I only trust myself. I don't trust you. I don't care. Okay? Because you only trust yourself, you are the ones who are making yourself miserable. Ultimately, in the end, you see that. But initially, you have to see that you have to face this thing here is very subtle. You have to face the fact that you only trust yourself. True or not? Do you trust your good no advisor more than you trust yourself? Who trusts your good no advisor more than you trust yourself? Raise your hands, please. Isn't that ingenious? If you trust yourself, then your mind cannot be straightforward. It's fake. It's underhanded. It's attached to facades. You pretend. Okay. It cheats. Okay. It comes up with reasons, excuses. Okay, it's not straightforward. When you trust yourself, you do ways, very subtle ways, to protect yourself, to defend yourself. Okay, and you do those things because of emotions, because you are attached. Okay, you give rise to thinking. You react to things. Okay. When you stop doing those things, then you get back to your true mind. That when you stop doing that, that's when the ego dies. Okay? So the instructions that the sages point out to you, the instructions they tell you, the things they ask you to do, actually point out the mistakes the mistakes you make in your life. Okay, so that's why Chan training. I first learned meditation. I loved it because it gave me peace of mind. I no longer need, as you endure the pain, somehow it gives you peace of mind that I didn't have before. Okay, when it's so painful, when it hurts so much, then you don't need to pretend anymore. Nothing else matters anymore. So all those peripheral attachments, all those emotions, secondary emotions, they no longer are important. Whether you like me or not doesn't matter anymore because my face is so distorted from the pain. My body is so bent and crooked from the pain. I can't take the pain anymore. That moment right there, the moment of truth about yourself. Okay? If you can endure those moments, and you can endure and not quit, because you quit because you make excuses in order to quit. Okay? That's when you gradually become truer and less crooked and more straightforward as you practice meditation. So far, so good. Does it sound familiar? Okay? There's a change in your mind. There's a change in your as you sit longer, as you progress, you naturally make fewer excuses. Yes? Okay. That's the first level. Next level is what Jim is talking about. Is that now you run into your own limitations. It's no longer an excuse. Okay? So that's why at first it's very easy. When we teach Chan meditation, it's very fast, very in the Wei Yang training. Unlike the way that we've been doing, I've been doing the last 15 years. Okay, we don't have a lot of people, and so it's fairly easy for us to screen them out. People come and one time they walk away because they don't like it or whatever the reasons. Okay, it's a very fast way to screen these people out, weed these people out. But the people who kept on coming and coming and coming, okay, and coming back, and especially the fastest ones are the ones who are willing to endure more and more and more and more of the discomfort. That's when the mind naturally becomes straightened, the pain straightens and gets rid of all the unnecessary excuses and the pretenses and the facades that we maintain throughout the day, okay, for us. Okay? So that's why these instructions, what I loved about the fact that if you meditate and you seek the comfort and you seek it to be a pleasant experience, you smile and you find it's so cool, it's very pleasant, then all you're doing is to reinforce your own beliefs in yourself, faith in yourself. The only you matters, and you have to like it. Okay. Whereas if you're able to endure, you follow these instructions that will reveal your weaknesses, your attachments, your dislikes, and then you're willing to go against your self, your own faith in yourself. Okay, that's when you're able to discover the peace of mind. Because when you're crooked, when your mind is not straightforward, it has to make excuses. Okay, it's very active. When you no longer feel the need to do that, that's where the peace comes in. Okay. It's more peaceful. The mind doesn't have to move anymore. It doesn't have to think anymore. It has to come up with excuses anymore. And that's what I like about Master YongHua's training, because he gives us instructions that eventually help us. If you follow the instructions, then you're able to discover the peace of mind very quickly. Okay? What does it have to do with Master Líng Yòu? Okay? One way is do the brute force way, meaning that just like me, cold turkey, my entire life I'm used to facades. Okay? We need to maintain a certain appearance. Okay? As at work, you need to maintain the appearance of an engineer, of a supervisor, of an executive, okay, of a doctor, of a nurse, and so forth. That's what we're supposed to do. We have put up these facades, right? And that's part of the job, if you will, part of our beings, of ourselves. Okay, so right there, we're constantly thinking. When you have this facade, we have these appearances. You're constantly thinking of maintaining that. The underlying energy for you to make the effort to maintain that requires a lot of energy. Okay, and we stop when you sit there and you have nothing else. You have no one to put a facade with. You only have to face yourself. Okay, that's when you have to drop that. You naturally can drop that, and that's where the peace of mind comes naturally. Okay, that's why you discover that peace of mind for yourself. Right. So that's the genius of this training. Ordinary people, they get tired, put on a facade and so forth. They need a digression. They need a cup of wine. They need a can of beer. Okay? They need food. They need something to distract them from that. Okay? They need distraction. They need a break from that. Okay? Whereas But then it's only distraction. So you, instead of fixating on yourself, you distract yourself on something else, on a little bit of pleasure, on a little bit of entertainment. But then you still go back to your facades, okay? Your personality. Meditation, you follow the training and asking you the way we train you, you naturally can drop all those facades very quickly, okay? And it relaxes you. Okay, so it's not easy to describe all these things, but if you follow instructions, you naturally will will find your mind to be more straightforward, not crooked, not facades anymore. And that's what I discovered. So far, so good? So that's the difference between our training and the training of making you comfortable. Okay? That's a huge difference, huge advantages. Okay? That's the brute force way. So far, so good? Any objections? Any questions or comments about this? So our training right there, actually a filtering process, a screening process that will help you become naturally more straightforward, less facades, less pretenses, less falsehood. Okay? Because if your mind is always full of excuses, you will eventually run away. You cannot come back and give the same excuses anymore. Okay? You basically say, I know a lot of people basically say, very smart, very have wisdom, have accomplishments. When asked to face their own leg pains, they say, no, it's not for me, and excuse after excuses, and eventually they walk away because they run out of excuses. On the other hand, if you are not willing to confront your own pain and discomfort, there's another way to get there, is blessings. Okay? If you have the blessings and you listen to the instructional talks, okay, your mind naturally you naturally are attracted to being simple, being straightforward, being no facades, having no facades. So you end up having the same results as practicing meditation. Am I making sense so far? Any questions or comments about this? So you grind it out to get to discover a state when you're relaxed and you get over this process of this fear of the pain. Then you become more relaxed, okay, and you understand that state of mind right there. The instruction is designed to bring you to that state of mind of being straightforward, having less pretenses. You keep on doing that. I know a lot of people put up facades, okay, yeah, and so forth as normal. That's what we normally do, okay, and so the longer you keep on doing that, the less you feel compelled to put on facades, right? So that's a natural self-evolution, okay? You naturally feel more relaxed, and therefore you say, no, I don't need to pretend anymore. I don't need to, I admit, okay, I used not to like it. I used to feel pain in my legs. Now I'm no longer afraid of that, okay? Because I know I overcame that fear already. And that state of mind there, you discover for yourself. It's no longer talk. It's no longer an intellectual concept. It's actually a state of mind where your mind is straightforward, not crooked, no pretenses. You yourself, no, that's it. That's the most important thing. Okay? That's one side. The other aspect is that the Chan instructions that these sages, Master YongHua and Master Líng Yòu, they talk, what they talk about here is that very state of mind, okay? That you naturally will become when you practice meditation. Your mind becomes more pliable, less facade-oriented. If you practice meditation, you get to that state. Or if you have blessings, you listen to this, okay? You say, that's what I can be. That's what I used to be. That's when you drop all those things. It's a reminder that if in the past you have practiced before, your mind used to be straightforward. This lifetime again, you rebuild all those pretenses as part of life, as natural part of living. Okay, but when you hear, if you have the blessings to hear back that, the mind is supposed to be straightforward. The mind is supposed to have no pretenses. The mind is supposed not to be crooked, not to be false. Then you say, that's it. That's how I used to be. And you drop all that. So in both ways, two different ways, you get to the same state of mind that we want to bring you to. This is the first time I formulated Wei Yang training, by the way. Either way, either we tell you about it, and you have the blessings, you believe it, and you drop all those unnecessary stuff, okay? Because you say, I like this. This makes sense to me. Because in a prior life, you were that way. Isn't that beautiful? And that's sudden teaching. Then immediately it is attained. Certain teaching is two ways. Either you grind it out and you see and you drop all these unnecessary things, then boom, suddenly you got it. Okay? This is grinding it out. That's what I had to do for myself. No one taught me. No one to guide me. No one to ask questions, so I had to grind it out and grind it out and grind it out. And I came up with ways to be able to refine myself, okay? Refine the mind, okay? And drop all those things, okay? And so forth. And when I teach you, on those of you, I realize some of those of you were so fast. How come some people practice for 50 years? And my disciples practiced for a few months or a few years, and they got there so quickly. Okay? Are you folks paying attention? Okay? You grind it out, one side, that's what I had to do myself. Okay? I had to do that because there's no teachers, no one to ask questions. So you grind it out. Okay? And you naturally develop all those things. You discover your mind becomes straighter and straighter because my mind was very crooked. Okay? The more you learn, the more you know, the more worldly knowledge you acquire, the mind becomes naturally more crooked. Okay? We naturally learn to better defend ourselves. Sounds familiar? Have more excuses. So the grinding out helped me let go of those things. Okay? And well, that's a grinding way that the Hinayana does. They don't do enough of it. They don't go all the way. That's why they get stuck. They got suspended. Whereas in Mahayana, we keep going. We kept going. We don't say, this is nothing yet. I still more. It's still more. In our sutras, in our teachings, the Buddha says there's a lot more than what we experience at the state of an arhat, a state of Pratyeka Buddha. We discovered at that state right there, it's still not quite the same as what the Buddha describes. In Mahayana, we have that information. Hinayana, they don't. Hinayana, they only know when you get there, this is how you're supposed to feel. This is all empty. It doesn't matter anyway. That's it. So far, so good? But Mahayana, we get there and say, wait a minute. The Buddha also talked about embracing others, talking about compassion, talk about kindness. A fourth-stage arhat, they get there, they don't have compassion. You don't need to have compassion to get there. You need to be kind to get there. Okay? So in our teaching right there, okay, we know when we get there, it's not quite there yet. So that's why we keep going. That's why we kept going as we keep on grinding, right? I'll get to your question a little bit later, okay? Or if you have the blessings, okay? Blessings meaning what? If you have the blessings, okay, then when you hear about the state that the Buddha talked about, a state of straightforward, the patriarchs talk about, okay, then you naturally say, that's what, it rings a bell to you. It makes sense to you. Then you naturally drop these things without having to grind it out. That's certain teaching right there. So then who needs full lotus? Who needs to meditate? In Venerable Huineng, 6th patriarch, he heard your mind should give rise to a mind that dwells nowhere, attaches nothing, give rise to no emotions. And I say, I used to be like that. That's it. Is that clear? So that's why, in a way, I'm training. Okay, it's important to have both. You need to grind it out. Okay, or you need to have the blessings to be able to accept the principles that you are taught. Because it rings true to you. That's what comes to mind is that one of the few things I still remember when I first met Master Heng Shi. He calls him Heng Shu. Actually, it should be Heng Shi. Shu has nothing to do with Heng Shi. But he said something that stuck in my mind all these years. He says, it rings true in your mind. Sound familiar? It rings true in your mind. You like it. What it boils down to. You like what this is about. You like, the fact that someone tells you that you should be straightforward. Can you drop the facades, please? Huh? Can you be more straightforward? Can you be true to yourself? Can you stop lying? Can you stop cheating? Can you stop stealing credit from others? Huh? And it rings true to you. That's certain teaching. So far, so good? Questions or comments? I know most of you don't want to touch this because it's too personal. I know how quiet all of you suddenly became. See? It's called the uncomfortable truth about yourself. So far, so good. Going back to the question that Jim asked earlier, so I'm fine. I believe you. Yes, I put up with the pain and all those things. Now I come to my limitations. Yes, there's so much I can do. That's called problem resolution. That's different. Meaning that you're facing with karmic obstructions. Okay? And that's what makes the difference between your commitment, a committed person, and the skill level of the good no advisor. It's a lot more involved. Okay? It's not something that can be discussed in public. But you see, it takes a lot of self-assurance, a lot of truthfulness in your own mind to be able to say, I've done this, but I have this problem. Most people would sweep it under the rugs. Say, no, I don't like it. They make excuses instead of saying that I can't do it. Okay, so that's when you need help. You need to you can follow instruction up to a certain point. That's when your obstructions, karmic obstruction, will come and stop you. You simply cannot do it anymore. Okay, and when you get that point there where you cannot do it anymore, that's when people make the mistakes up. They make mistakes, certain types of mistakes that prevent them from going further in learning how to resolve these karmic obstructions. But if you have obstructions, and if you don't have the proper foundation of being straightforward, not putting up facades, not doing underhanded things, not stealing from others, not lying, not crooked mind, then you can be taught to solve it. But if your mind is not straightforward, you cannot be taught. It would be a waste of time. Questions or comments? Yes.
So my question is, how do Buddhists overcome those cosmic obstructions?
How do you overcome those karmic obstructions?
Karmic? Cosmic?
Sorry?
Is it cosmic or karmic? Karmic?
Karmic obstructions.
Karmic obstructions.
Cosmic is very similar, but karmic is more. You folks call it cosmic, we call it karmic. This is the truth about ourselves, all of us. In the past, out of jealousy, out of selfishness, okay, we obstructed others from improving. happened to me, happened to my peers, happened to Master Shenhua's disciples. Okay, I obstructed them, so now they obstructed me. It's the truth. If I didn't obstruct them, they wouldn't be obstructing me. They wouldn't be, slandering me and making all these maneuvers to harm me and so forth. So we know, we recognize it's a karmic retribution. I've obstructed them, so now they're obstructing me. Okay, I remember when I was a novice, after 10 months, I could sit longer than most of my Master Shenhua's disciples as a novice. Okay, I was proud of that. I said, what's a big deal? I can sit. To the point where when Master Shenhua was alive, if anyone can sit for 5 hours straight, they exempt from working. And I'm exempt from that exemption. Because 5 hours, like, what's a big deal? And so, you know how tough it is. Even under Master Shenhua's, when he was still alive, his disciples could not sit for 5 hours. So those who could sit 5 hours say, "Oh, you meditate, I invest in you. Okay, I like you, I allowed you to grind it out." Okay, so there, they can sit all day. I said, "Why can't I?" And his disciples said, "Oh, you're just exempt from it. You can't. You have to work." But I forgot what the point was. I'm sorry. Somehow I dropped. I forgot my point. Okay, you come back. I tell you again. This is a funny point, but I somehow forgot it. Okay. All right. So the question you have is, how do I resolve these karmic obstructions? Okay. Yeah. It's probably because I obstructed them in the past, I guess, so that they wouldn't allow me to grind it out. Even when I tried to do long sits during the Chan Chi, I was planning on sitting, but the whole morning, whole afternoon, whole evening, whatever, he would force me to stand up and walk. How's that? That idiot monk. He says, "You're supposed to stand up and walk. Master Shenhua says so." For you, yeah. For you losers, yeah. Not for me. So they wouldn't let me sit. So for my entire 4.5 years, I had to sneak around and find a time, a stretch of time where I can sit for 2 hours or 3 hours, because that's all the time I could find by hiding. So it's funny because I was trying to follow, because when you sit longer like that, the karmic obstructions come more and more. Okay, the longer you sit, the bigger obstructions come. So your obstruction came now. Okay, and so you have to learn how to deal with those karmic obstructions. All right, and that's part of the other side of Chan meditation, is to resolve those karmic obstructions. Okay, but before you can resolve those karmic obstructions, you need to have the proper fundamentals. Okay, if you don't have the fundamentals, if you haven't faced your crooked mind, if you haven't faced your unwillingness to be truthful. You haven't recognized the fact that you're not untruthful. You have all these bad habit energies. And those are a part of foundation you need to have before we're willing to teach you how to resolve those karmic obstructions. Because those karmic obstructions are based on a straightforward mind. To resolve them, you need to have a straightforward mind. You need to be not false. You need to not make excuses. You need not to be attached to facades, to faces. Until you get to that point, you cannot resolve karmic obstructions because you're only fooling yourself. You see? And this is why when I teach meditation, I don't like to teach you Hua. I'd rather do other things that are much quicker than Hua to help your mind become more straightforward, become true. All right? And at this gentleman's question, he said, how do I become my karmic obstruction? It depends on your level. Okay? Okay. Initially, if you have these karmic obstructions, okay, and then you have the one very important basic thing you need to learn when you do practice meditation, or if you want to practice meditation, you want to stick to the Wei Yang style of training, there's one thing you need to learn, is to trust your good know advisor more than yourself. Because these instructions from Master Líng Yòu, Master YongHua, will bring you that point. Do I trust him or do I trust myself? And if those of you who haven't faced that yet, that means you trust yourself more and you trust the instructions. Then you cannot overcome your karmic obstructions. You will choose wrong. You will make mistakes. The mistakes comes from your egos. Okay? It's the ego, and slide 129, that makes you choose to close your eyes and plug your ears. Okay? It's your ego that's attached to external things. I like this. I don't like that. Okay? How come she doesn't like me? Okay? That's your ego speaking. So when you have no such emotions, emotions are the reflections, are the actions of your ego. I like, I dislike, that's your ego right there. Okay? You need to recognize those. Then you can be taught. That's the fundamentals. Do you understand? In our Wei Yang training is so important. We help you develop the base first. So you can come to me and you say, yes, I want to learn to become enlightened. I want to learn to open my wisdom. Okay? But you need to go through all these fundamentals. The fundamentals are having a straightforward mind. And you get there by trusting the good known advisor and not trust yourself. If you trust yourself, you will run away, you will make excuses. not to face your own miseries, your own ugliness. So far, so good. So for you personally, very simple. You want to solve your karmic obstructions, okay? Cross your legs and grind it out. Okay? Yeah, that's the instruction from a good no advisor. And wonders happens when you're willing to do that, because you learning not to trust yourself over the good known advisor. Okay? Questions or comments? There's a lot more going on, of course. Okay? Don't think that we can explain to you all this training technology, all these training techniques in just a short time span. Okay? It is just some simple principles that the Wei Yang patriarch taught us. Okay? I'm going back to slide 131. It's not worldly things that people classify as it's not like many matters of evil consciousness, emotional views, thinking, and practices. It's not those worldly things that people attach to, but people are so attached to evil and good. They talk about we are emotional, we are controlled by our own emotions. We love to think, okay, so it's not those worldly things that we're so used to, but it's more the mind. It's more. It's not the mind. Is not doesn't need to be good at solving those things. But it's more like autumn's water when it's still and quick, clear and pure, unconditioned, okay, tranquil, and no obstructions. Nothing obstructs you, okay? Even when you sit there and you say, now I have this hernia and all those things, that's called obstruction. And obstruction is only real to you. Okay? Yeah. Is this the end of it? Okay, so Master Líng Yòu says, call him Wei cultivator, also call him unconditioned cultivator, meaning that the people who practice the way, the spiritual path, okay, are the people who are also called unconditioned cultivator. Meaning what? Unconditioned meaning that no action. Okay, 无为, 无事的人, 无为. The unconditioned meaning that you do nothing. The people who do nothing. That refers to monks and nuns. They do nothing. They don't have to save the world. They don't have to prove anything. Instead, they do nothing. They don't need to build temples. They don't need to have disciples. They don't need to be famous. They don't need to be enlightened. They do nothing. Okay? What does it mean? To do nothing. It is so Chinese. How do you do nothing? I wish I were there when Master Sheh was talking about these things. I would have asked, how do you do nothing? With all due respect, how do I do nothing? Yes? Green.
It's my opinion, but I cannot going to disagree with my own opinion, but I just want to throw it out there. Maybe he was referring that when you're just sitting there, you're not doing anything towards society, but I disagree with that though.
Now I still can't hear him. How do you do nothing? What did you say?
Maybe because he was thinking that maybe nuns or monks, they just sit there but not doing anything productive towards society. But I do disagree with my own opinion, but just thinking about that.
I can't hear him. I know there's a noise from a translation here on this side, okay? But still, I can't seem to hear him.
I think he said the nuns and monks are just sitting there and not doing anything productive towards society.
What? Sounds insulting. This is it's a, you're Catholic, right?
Yes. No, but I disagree with my own opinion though. But
Go
maybe-
back to Catholia. Jeez. Go back to your country. People used to tell me that, by the way. You go back to your, go back there. So, we monks and nuns do nothing?
No, maybe according to what he was thinking, or the person that
No,
said
don't
that.
quote me. Don't quote me. No. You really thinking we're doing nothing?
No, I would never say that. Me, Daniel, I don't think so, because I think even prayer or anything that it actually helps society. That's my opinion.
We're actually helping society?
Yes,
Doing nothing is helping society?
No, but you're doing something because it's about prayer. So when you pray for
How
others-
does prayer help society?
Because you're asking for, well, I don't know how to say it in Buddhism, but it's like...
Too late. I mean, you just said we do nothing, and then you make excuses. Now you say we do prayers. How can
No.
you do prayers and do nothing? How can you do... Huh? How can you do nothing and yet do prayers? That's impossible. You're contradicting yourself. Take a stand. Do we do nothing or we do something?
Do something. So I'm disagreeing with the statement. That's what I'm trying to say.
Stop being nice. Okay, next. God. Be yourself. See? Yeah, I think you Catholics, you Buddhists do nothing. That's more truthful. Come on. Yes, YouTube answer.
Diego says, do what you have to do without any expectations.
Do what you do without any expectation. What's the point in doing if you have no expectations? When you courted your wife, do you have any expectations? You become a monk, you have no expectations? You become in order to do nothing? That's what you think of us, huh? God! Answer, you too.
Diego says, doing without doing. Do what you have to do without any expectations is being free of the results.
What's the point in doing without doing? What's the point in doing without any expectation? What are you talking about, Diego? Be real, man. Why would you do nothing and have no expectations? That's impossible. You do nothing because you expect to do nothing. Anyone else? What does it mean, unconditioned cultivator? No doing, cultivator. You don't do anything, cultivator. And don't tell me it's you pray. Oh, good Lord. YouTube answer.
The Jewel Mountain has a guess. It is cultivator. Does it mean someone who doesn't cause any incident? And
Doesn't cause any incidents.
Yeah.
What do you mean cause any incidents?
or
You
doesn't-
become a sheep like the other people around you? Huh?
or doesn't cause any change in others.
Does it cause any change in others?
Yeah.
So you become a robot?
Or doesn't meddle in others' businesses.
You do meddle in others' business, and what's the fun in coming to the temple? Most people come to the temple because say, oh, look at that person, look at that, oh, this is so much fun. Look at that, I never saw a person like that before. Look at that nun, look at how afflicted she is 24 hours a day. Every time I come here, look at her face. There's a scowl on her face every time. Huh? And look at that, the other nun. All you have to do is waste water and she goes crazy. Huh? This is so much fun. She can look so collected and so like a do-nothing cultivator. But as soon you throw the wrong things into the wrong garbage bin, she'll come and kill you. Huh? What is do nothing? This is why it's so mystical, the way that it could be misinterpreted. Do nothing here means that, how do you do? Go back to the fundamentals. How do you do? Okay, Jewel Mountain Temple people, it's Christmas for you. I know it's a rest day for you. Okay? How do you Koreans do? I'm asking the Koreans now. It's the Christmas day for them, so. How do you do? How do Koreans do it? Sangwok, Jungin Sunim, One Tek Sunim, Soju Sunim. You're about to embark on doing nothing, cultivation. How do you do nothing? How do you do? Yes, San Francisco Cube.
I guess that do nothing different, which means Soye Bubin, that depends on according to the condition.
They throw things at like this, like the Chinese now. This guy's Vietnamese, but now he's copying the Chinese, He's quoting all these nonsense phrases. 随缘不变, 不变随缘. Give me a break. Okay, next. That's wrong. How do you do? YouTube.
TK says, don't react and don't get afflicted.
Don't react, don't get afflicted. That's doing nothing. There's a lot left. I thought I'd be done now, but geez. Okay. So I was pushing. It's 9 o'clock now. I don't feel like talking anymore. Huh? How do you do nothing? In Buddhism, we learn to be an unconditioned, learn the unconditioned. Or if you understand unconditioned, you become an unconditioned cultivator. Okay? What is unconditioned? Okay? The Koreans refuse to admit it. How do they do nothing? How do they do in Korea? Do you know? Would you like me to tell them the Korean secret? Huh? That Koreans don't even know? Just between us, okay? The Koreans in order to do. You know what they do? They pray to Jesus. Wouldn't you like? Huh? How do you Catholics do? Never mind the Koreans. We give up on Koreans. It's the rest day today, so we're not going to give them a hard time. How do you Catholics do? Serious. How do you do? Before you do, whether you're Korean, whether you're Catholic, or whether you are a true Buddhist, okay? What happens when you do? You think about it. Yes? The first thing that starts before you can do anything is that, I want to do this. Yes? I want to do this. Let's do this. So far, so good? It doesn't matter, you're Korean, Vietnamese, or white, okay, black, yellow, doesn't matter. Before you do anything, the thought has to arise. Let's do this. Let's donate to charity. Let's help others. Let's pray. Let's do nothing. Agree? It starts first with a thought. I want to do this. Yes? So how do you do nothing? You don't give rise to thoughts. That's how you do nothing. Is it clear? The only way for you to do nothing, especially during Christmas Day, is not think. Is that clear? Agree or disagree? If you don't think, then you do nothing. It's that simple. You can sit there all day, from 3 in the morning until midnight at night, 11:50 at night. If you think of nothing, then you are doing nothing. Okay. Give him a microphone. Green.
So that means that when you're cultivating, and then you're dropping every thought, that means that because you're dropping the thought, that means that you're just sitting there in meditation, therefore you're not doing nothing? That's what it means?
That's right. So when you meditate, and it hurts, the thought arises and says, it hurts. What's next? Let's unbuckle. And then you unbuckle. Then you do something. If the thought arises and says, let's unbuckle, and you say, that's not unbuckle. That's called doing nothing. Starting out. So right from day one, we teach you about doing nothing already by not unbuckling. That's called fundamentals. You cannot even endure it, and you constantly unbuckle because it hurts too much, then you are always doing something. You refuse to not do it. You refuse not to unbuckle. That means you're always doing when you meditate. But if you hang in there, then you are succeeding in doing nothing about that thought of quitting. That's fundamentals. Okay? YouTube.
TK says you can enter Samadhi, then you do nothing.
At a lower level, yes. Okay, when you enter Samadhi, you have no thoughts. So, in principle, when you have no thoughts, then you're doing nothing. That's correct. But it's more than that. This is where people are misguided. Yes, YouTube have a question.
Diego asks, so by not arising thoughts, the ego is killed?
No, not yet. There is a systematic way of killing the ego, putting an end to the ego. By following instructions, all the instructions we give you are designed to systematically destroy the ego without telling you that we're helping you, we're making you destroy your own ego. Because if we were to tell you, then you will not be willing to do it. We have to tell you to do things that you don't realize you're destroying your own ego. That's the only way that it works. If we come out, go ahead and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, today we're going to destroy your ego, it ain't going to work. We have to give you instructions that are so crooked that it destroys your ego without you knowing about it. So you have to be straightforward, but we cannot be straightforward. And trust us. You have to trust us. It's for your own good. And our account number is bank account. Yeah. Huh? All right. You got that? Okay. And this is the secret. Okay. You learn to do nothing by following instructions. That's our secret in a Wei Yang training, in Chan training. Okay? If you were to grind it out yourself, it's a lot slower. If you follow instruction, all these instructions here from the training are designed to help you destroy the ego, and you don't even realize it. And after you destroy your ego, after you become enlightened, next step. First step is destroy your ego. Listen to me, Koreans, carefully, because not many of you have got it. First, you need to destroy your ego. To destroy your ego, you need to know how to do it. You know what to do, but you must not understand it, because if you understand it, you will not be able to do it. You will refuse to do it. Okay? You will trip yourself. You will obstruct yourself. So first, you have to follow instruction on how to destroy your ego, and you don't realize you're destroying your ego. For example, Shuo, remember I talked about that white guy? Okay, he was how was he instructed to destroy your egos? By bowing every day, bow, bow, bow. Okay, and then by bowing like that, his karmic obstructions will come eventually. Okay, then. That's at a high level, you have a karmic obstruction, much more obvious. And then he'll be taught how to resolve those karmic obstructions. Okay? So that's a secret in the Chan training. It's much better that you don't realize that you are destroying your ego. That's why the Chinese secret about Chan secret is that, the Mahayana secret is that you have to trust your good advisors more than you trust yourself. Because the instructions are not supposed to make sense to you. If they make sense to you, then it's not going to help you. Why do you have to endure the pain? Come on, right off the bat. Why do I have to endure the pain? It doesn't make sense. You stop, then it's a proof you trust yourself more, you trust a good advisor, then take it easy. No need to push. Okay? They need more blessings. If you have the blessings, you're willing to do it. Okay? Grinding it out or blessings. If you have the blessings, you can do, you follow instructions. So that's the bottom line. You want to learn to do nothing. Okay? That is the state of a person who has no thoughts that arises anymore. That is the state of a person who is a fourth stage arhat or higher. That's what they call unconditioned cultivator. Is someone who's reached fourth stage arhat or higher. Somehow the Chinese chose to be so mystical about it. It's a real state where you cannot say that I am doing nothing until you reach fourth stage arhat or higher. Below that, it's not possible for you to say you are doing nothing. It's not possible. So it's not true that if you enter Samadhi, you're doing nothing. It's not quite true. You're still doing something, but you're just not the same way that you're thinking. That's all. So far, so good. So don't tell me you should not, especially you cultivators, you smart people who can figure anything out, everything out. You say, I enter Samadhi, I am doing nothing. Not true. You do nothing, that's a different state when you no longer even are saying, I'm doing nothing. You see? Did you catch that? I'm doing nothing. If you are doing nothing, then there's still someone who's doing nothing. Therefore, you are still not quite not doing anything. There's still an I who's doing nothing. Therefore, you're still doing something. When you are doing nothing, that means you have no thoughts whatsoever, meaning that someone hits you, you say, you do nothing. Whereas, if that person who says, I'm in Samadhi, and someone comes and hit me, how dare you? That's doing something immediately, right there. But if you really have no ego, they hit you and say, that's why I used to hit my disciples in front of you. And people say, why is Master so violent? Because I'm testing my disciples, see she would react to it. Right there in front of you. He's going to hit me in front of everyone. Can you pretend to do nothing? And of course I hit her and she doesn't move, but she said, I'm in front of everyone. Master hits me, I'm not going to look bad. And that's doing something right here. I'm revealing too many secrets to you. Well, I have many more tricks up my sleeves. I don't need to hit you. I will have ways to trick you into doing something. And she goes back and says, I did do something. It bothered me. Okay? So these people are unconditioned cultivator because they learn to do nothing. Doing nothing is a conditioning process. So unconditioned means you undo all those things that make you do something. Am I making sense to you? It's a training process. It's easy to do nothing when you're not obstructed. But when you do something and you get obstructed, that's when the real training begins. So in other words, this unconditioned cultivator is something that you yourself cannot figure out, cannot understand, unfortunately. And that's why the Chan people, the Chan masters, they give you this very simple tip. Okay? Just follow the instructions. And that's why the instruction from the great masters like Master Líng Yòu, Master YongHua are designed to help you break down the ego, destroy the ego, that others masters are not as good as at helping you destroy it more quickly. What I judge instruction by is how quickly you can destroy your ego. And I'm close tonight by telling you that the instruction from the Wei masters are the best ones, are the quickest one to help you destroy your egos, bar none right now. I don't know about the other sects, the other schools, but I compare it, for example, because my bloodline from the Vietnamese is Líng Rinzai in Japanese. Okay, Líng in Chinese, Lâm Tế in Vietnamese. What is it in Korean? In Te. Okay, In Te. Okay, the instructions there are not as ingenious as the instructions from the Wei masters. The Wei masters' instructions are incredibly savvy, incredibly ingenious. I don't know any other terms that describes it. Okay? All right, YouTube has a question. We need to go stop tonight.
Diego asks, once I heard that we have to be like babies. They don't have thoughts and they are always in ecstasis. Is that similar to the state we are talking about?
Not quite. Babies have a lot of thoughts. What kind of thoughts do babies have? Huh? Food. I'm hungry. I want to sleep. They have a lot of, it's just, they have thoughts. It's just they have very, very limited number of thoughts, that's all. We have more different types of thoughts. We want to sleep, we want to eat, we want to have more money, we want to have more people to like us more, we want more Christmas days, we want, all those things. So it's not, it's a gross exaggeration to say that babies have thoughts. Babies have no thoughts. Babies have plenty of thoughts. It's just a limited number of thoughts. That's all. So, for example, the difference is that a baby, when hungry, what does a baby do? Baby cries, right? What did Martina do when she's hungry? I don't know. She complains, why am I doing this? Okay? Yeah. Yes, question? Was there a question somewhere? Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So going back to the Samadhi thing, Samadhi state, so that means when a Buddhist enters Samadhi, that means they still have a thought because they're not able to drop the, or they're, what's it called? They're not able to drop the thought, or when you enter Samadhi, are they still thinking, or they are able to drop thoughts?
It depends on the type of samadhis. The lower level samadhis, you still have thoughts. Okay? So because of your mind still have thoughts, so you cannot be called you have no thoughts when you're in samadhi. In samadhi, you still have thoughts in lower levels. This is a misconception that most people who read from books have. They said, when you enter samadhi, there's no thoughts. Not true. It depends on which samadhi. So that's why we don't say anything. You can tell these people say, when you enter samadhi, there's no thought. I read that somewhere on our Facebook page. Say, how do you have no thought? You say, you enter samadhi with no thought. And I don't say anything because it's wrong. The samadhi that guy talked about still has thoughts. Because when you have no thoughts, that's when you don't answer like that anymore. Okay? So that's why you learn to be an unconditioned cultivator, meaning that you have no thoughts. You cultivate to have no thoughts. This is something that is not explained by the Chinese. They say unconditioned cultivator, meaning what? That you cultivate to have no thoughts. Is it clear? Do we agree on this definition? Under 无事人, 无事之人, is a person who does nothing, right? It's an unconditioned cultivator. How do you do nothing? Meaning that this person learns to do nothing. So when you are hungry, you still do nothing. When you're in pain, the legs are hurting, you still do nothing. When the body hurts right there, you still do nothing. You decide that it's my limitation. I can't take it anymore. It's no different from at the early stages where I don't like the pain. Now it changes to I can't take this anymore. It's more subtle. Before, it's rejection, right? I don't have to do this, okay? Who on earth would want to do this? These people are not normal, okay? They're fanatics, all right? It's not that much different, by the way. I saw on how some externalists, he's very famous, Rajneesh, you heard of him? Yeah. I saw these Caucasian people going to India to the ashram, and there's a session where they practice flying meditation. I swear to God, this is true. I saw the clip, okay? Flying meditation. Anyone ever tried that? Ray, have you tried flying meditation? Anyone tried flying meditation? Huh? You seen it? You seen that video? Probably the same video. It's only aren't it? Yeah. That's the one. You deviant person. No wonder you have so many obstructions. Okay, flying meditation. Give him a microphone, please. Describe how they fly when they meditate.
Well, I just remember there was a large mat and they were, I don't know if they were sitting in Florida.
Yeah, it's like a huge tent city, right?
Yeah, and then
it's a big tent.
And they, I guess in the beginning stages, they were bouncing forward, and then eventually, I guess they were supposed to maintain levitation, but I only saw them sort of that intermediate stage on the video. So.
Yeah, first of all, they bounce, you know, they were like this, first like this, and then when your muscles are trained, now they learn to move, push forward like that, you know, right? You notice that? That's what they did. At first, the beginners, they learn to bounce up and down to strengthen the legs here, okay? Up and down, okay? You lift yourself up, you bounce up like that. I can't do that. Okay? I'm not good enough. You see? See? You see, you go like this. So your legs become stronger. And when your legs are stronger, then you learn to move forward a little bit more. So eventually, the more adept one, you see them actually moving with their legs crossed. Moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. Okay? That's how they practice flying meditation. Okay? We Buddhists is exactly opposite. We learn to do nothing. We want to fly. Yes, the thought says, let's fly. What do? Nothing. So unconditioned cultivator is the one who sits there, and as these thoughts arise, it's very important, folks. Pay attention, okay? As these thoughts arise, okay, in your head, you do nothing about them. That's why they call cultivator. Does it help? Your head, when you meditate, has so many thoughts. When they arise, do nothing. And then another type of thought arises, do nothing either. Keep on doing nothing. It's much harder to do than you think. That's quit? No, do nothing. I'm hungry, do nothing. So far so good. I'm sleepy, don't lie down. Do nothing. I need to go to the toilet, go. Don't you dare. Okay? We have our limitations, please. You know how expensive the carpet is? Okay? So that's what an unconditioned cultivator does. Okay? So that's why eventually, once you're good enough, we advise you go to the mountain and you can do nothing as you wish. Not our temple, please. All right? American joke. The Koreans don't find it funny. All of them look at a straight face. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay? Is that clear? There's nothing magical about it. The Chinese say it's an unconditioned cultivator. It sounds so lofty, you know. It's a monk that does nothing. No! We're struggling like heck, Mr. Catholic. It's not true we don't do anything. We sit there and say, should I go to the bathroom or not? If I don't, then I'm really unconditioned cultivators. But then, Master may not be very happy. Okay? So you learn to do nothing. So from beginning to end, in Buddhism, we learn to do nothing with those thoughts. No matter how logical they are, you still do nothing. Okay? So I close this because of the context of someone asked the earlier question. Yeah. Master Shenhua said something. He says that when you sit, when the Chinese do long sits, okay, meaning they don't unbuckle, they sit and sit and sit, not like these disciples of Master Shenhua in America where they don't dare sit. And they sit and they stand up. No. In China, they sit and sit and sit. They don't stand up. When you do that, bad things happen to you. Okay? I give you a tip. It starts hurting like hell. Okay? If you sit long enough, you form a callus. Shh. Keep it among ourselves, okay? Because the Chinese are laughing at you. They say, you guys don't dare sit, but you don't know what it's like to do long sits. When you sit longer and longer, the callus will form underneath you. Okay? All right? And this is what that white nun described when she said 100 days with Master Shenhua, that no one understood, but I heard she said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The callus is formed because naturally a callus will form if you don't move, okay? The skin is thicker and so forth, but there's a callus that's formed and gets harder and harder and harder. So when you continue to sit, it starts prickling you. Try to sit with someone when you put it's like you sit on a thumbstack. Okay? You sit there, you put a thumbstack underneath you and you sit on it. It hurts like hell. There's nothing you can do. Okay? All of you look too interested. That means you never sat that long, have you? You are wimps. You never sat that long. Enough to know that's what happens. That's when that nun, that's why of all Master Shenhua disciples who talk about their China experiences, only that one nun says, it starts hurting so much. And I knew what you were talking about. When the other white monks and the other disciples thought, oh, it's no problem, it's no big deal. No, you don't know what it's like yet until you sit and you don't move. And you sit long enough, like with that white nun, Heng Chu, she sat for like 100 days. Okay? Every day for 100 days, without fail. Every single sit, 100 days. If you do that, you're going to have a callus. It's about this small of a thing here. I finally popped one, by the way. I popped one just to find out why is it hurting so much. So I reached down. Okay, when I had a break, I reached down, I popped it out. Oh, it's a callus. It's a beautiful callus. I said, wow, that's it. And guess what? Another one formed. So you can't avoid it. I'm telling you too much, right? You don't want to hear the rest of the story, do you? Hey, Koreans, you think you guys are tough. None of you knows that callus thing because you never sat long enough. None of you. It's a callus about this size, okay? This long, okay? Yeah, and it's sharp. It's like this, so that as you sit, it keeps on piercing into your into your body. It hurts. And you cannot avoid it. It hurts. You keep on sitting. You're sitting on a thumbstack, on a needle. Nothing you can do where it hurts. It hurts and hurts. 24 hours. Tell me of any Caucasian person who's willing to do that. Only that nun is willing to do that. That's why I said, this is a superior woman. No one smart enough would be willing to subject themselves to this. Okay? She did. She's outstanding. Only person I know of who's willing to do that. Okay? So that's what happens. Yeah. You have all these problems that will arise. And then, so anyway, Master Shenhua explained it to the Chinese even worse than that American nun, disciple of his. To the point where they have blisters and so forth. It has blisters, and then the blisters heal, and then became a callus, and so forth. Okay, and then, you know what I'm talking about, huh? Because when you sit there, your skin is not designed for that long sits. It needs circulation, so you're going to develop blisters. Okay, naturally. And when the blisters heal, she kept sitting, so the blisters healed, and then and it became what did I call it? Huh? Callus, yeah. that needle thing inside of you, because after the skin broke, okay, it healed. If you continue to sit, it will heal by itself, and then become a callus, and then start prickling you 24 hours a day. So the test continues. Okay, so the Chinese, like the great teachers like Master Shenhua, I didn't experience this state, but it's too extreme for me. They said, you know, all these problems have happened, okay, and they kept sitting and they healed by themselves. That's the extreme, folks. Okay, we're not there. Only the great Chinese masters understand what they talk about. They are practicing the extreme, unconditioned cultivation. Even though the body is breaking down, they do nothing. That's Chinese. You have to respect them. You have to grant them credit for that. And they talked about it. They do nothing. And that's why it healed itself naturally. If you can believe that. I never have enough faith to continue. And really, okay, that's if you can do that, folks, okay, the body is breaking down. They do nothing. It's because they have no job to go back to on Monday morning. Okay? Their jobs, sir, is to do nothing. They train, they practice, they train themselves to do nothing, including when the body breaks down, they do nothing. That's incredible training. Am I making sense to you? It's not talk. If you can do that, then you know all the different obstructions you're going to have. Because when you sit there and you do nothing, you watch all the obstructions come and go, come and go, come and go. That's when you say, this is why you should do this. That's how those instructions came about. The Wei Yang instructions came from Master Wei Shan, sitting there in the mountain for 6 years. No alcohol, no iodine, no nothing. Okay, and body breaks down, no painkillers, nothing. So these instructions from these great Chan Master, like Master Líng Yòu and Master Shenhua, is from doing, not from reading. And if you have the blessing, you follow the instructions, you progress so quickly. You don't quit, you don't make excuses. I'm too tired, I'm too sleepy, okay? I'm too busy, I have so much work, and so forth, okay? You have so much work, and arrange for a time when you are not pressured by work anymore. Okay? and you sit there and learn to do nothing. That's grinding it out. If the other way is blessings, you have the blessings, then these obstructions get resolved quickly. You don't have the blessing, you grind it out. Am I making sense? So the unconditioned cultivator, as the Chinese say it, is a skill they have developed by sitting meditation. Okay? And what happened in our modern era is that we don't have any person alive who has gone through it. So that's why they cannot give you the proper instructions on what to do to kill your ego, to learn to cultivate the unconditioned. Because it comes from experience. It doesn't come from the books. You cannot read about this. Questions or comments? And that's why we have a very rich tradition. The Wei Yang tradition is very, very demanding training of the unconditioned. Because these masters went through it themselves. They didn't learn from books. Master Líng Yòu never learned from the books how to do Chan meditation. Master YongHua meditated when he was a kid. No books on Chan meditation. Okay? They learn it by doing. That's why I discovered their instructions are the best instructions compared to the other teachers' instructions. The other patriarchs' instructions are not as fast. The other instructions still have room for mistakes that the Master Líng Yòu talked about. Okay. The sages, the great sages, you can add this by saying that in slide 130, the great sages from the past, all the great sages, their instructions are to point out your mistakes. At all levels, your mistakes that makes you miserable and make you fail to reach the unconditioned. Does it help? So that's why, if going back to the conclusion for you modern day people, you say, I like you, I trust you, Master, but I trust myself more. And then there's the limitations. They can go so far. It's not about labels. It's not about Catholics or Buddhists. It doesn't matter. Okay. I remember there's a Catholic person, very devout Catholic. All right. She was one of my early disciples. She was dying from cancer. And the doctor says, she has bladder cancer. The doctor says, I scraped your bladder from the cancer cells so much I can't scrape them anymore. So the next thing for you is to wear a bag. That's the only way for you to live is to wear a bag. Okay? You know what I'm talking about? Bladder cancer people? Okay? Eventually, the bladder doesn't work anymore. You need to wear a bag to contain your urine. Okay? So she says, well, if I need to wear a bag, I'd rather die. She's that kind of person. She says, no, that's it. I'm going to die soon. So she started relaxing, and so she asked her father, she said, is that okay? I go over to the Buddhist temple to learn meditation. So her father, her teacher, the father, they call over there, right, sir? Right? You call father, right? The what? The priest father? The priest or the father? Yeah, thank you. So the priest said, absolutely, go, learn meditation. You like it, learn meditation. So she learned our meditation, and because she had not much time, she didn't have much time left. So for her to be asked to endure the leg pain is not as bad as the prospects of dying soon, right? So what's the big deal? I endure the leg pain. I can take it. I don't have much time left. Okay. So she took the leg pain. So she developed very quickly. And she used to follow me every weekend to drive from Los Angeles to San Jose to teach meditation and to lecture on the sutra once a week. So lo and behold, within a couple of years, sticking with Chan meditation and so forth, she liked it and so forth, and she eventually reached second stage Arhat. Even a Catholic can reach a second stage Arhat, which is cool. 2 years, maybe 3. Second stage Arhat. Okay? So that's very impressive. And then when she reached second stage Arhat, I look at her and say, it's not good for you. And what happened? She reached second stage Arhat by pretending to believe me. And she thought by pretending to believe me, I will help her more and teach her more, give her more shortcuts. And I was too glad to oblige. I said, okay, this is the problem you have, this is what you do, and so forth. And I taught her. Finally, on the second stage, Arhat, okay, she cannot, slide 130, make that mistake anymore. You see? I'll teach you, but eventually you will shoot yourself in the foot. You make the mistake. Yes, you can con me, you can fool me, you can steal from me, but eventually that type of mistake will prevent you from progressing further. And that kind of mistake creates miseries inside of you. Okay? She begins to have conflicts. She began to have conflicts. Chan meditation is to face yourself, to be truthful, to be straightforward. All right? And at her level, second stage Arhat, she can no longer afford not to be straightforward in order to get to third stage Arhat. Are you listening to me, Buddhist disciples? Why do you think I tell you about these various levels? Because at each level you have your own limitations. You can con me, you can fool me, you can cheat me, but when you reach a certain level, it's you yourself who are conning yourself, who are fooling yourself. That's all. So when she reached second stage Arhat, I adored her because she's the first case where actually she's supposed to die, supposed to have carrying a bag. Actually, the cancer stopped progressing. And I was too glad to see that. I was too glad to help her. I gave her tips, shortcuts, and so forth, and help her in order to see what's going to happen. If you forgive me, it's my experiment, my guinea pig. Never dealt with that type of problem before. So I had to find out, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So it's funny because we worked together. She didn't realize I was doing that. And I got to the point where third stage Arhat, and at second stage Arhat, I said, wow, that's it. That's it. This is all as far as she can go. Okay? Because she can no longer pretend to believe in me anymore. Because deep in her heart, she believes her father, her priest, more than she believes me. So what happened? She had to run away. She faced herself and said, no, I believe in my father, my priest, my loyalty is over there. It's not over here. So she had to run away. Isn't that interesting? So the training is that, okay? You become truer and truer and truer. Remember? Remember? You're learning to practice the unconditioned. You don't see what happened is that, don't take me wrong, I'm sharing with you, this is a true story. It's so close. It's so far you can go if you try to fool me. Because if you practice unconditioned, what did she have? All she have to do is continue not to choose. You understand? You don't have to choose. But because she faked it, she tried to fool me all that time to get more help. Because she got better and better and better and better, and she knew it. Okay? She said, wow, this is so cool. Let me get some more out of him. Let me get more. Okay? I was too glad to oblige because I was curious myself. Can we help? Can meditation help? Okay? But the unconditioned cultivator is the person at that point in time that chooses to do nothing. Does it help? Yes.
I have a question. Well, actually, one little correction. We as Catholics, we're not supposed to put the faith in the priest. We're supposed to put the faith in God and in the church itself. My second question would be, like, what happened to that lady after she returned back to her religion?
I think she's still alive. It's been 10 years, so I don't know. I tried to send my disciple over to say hello, and they used to hang out together. That fourth stage Arhat, and she chose not to connect with us. So we respect the privacy, so we disappeared. We didn't try to contact her again. Okay, but the point being that at that level, at the level of she got, where that she reached, she was able to survive the cancer. But it could be a lot better had she continued. How's that? But that's as far as the experiment could go. Because I was conflicted at that point. I knew that she was stuck. I knew that her loyalty lies somewhere else. I knew that she had to face that. I knew she would choose the other route. She's very loyal as a person. That's how she got that so far, so fast. Very, very loyal. She follows instructions. As long as it does not contradict, it does not jeopardize her loyalty. Okay? But at that stage, when she at the level she got to, okay, she has to face that. She has to face her own truthfulness. You cannot afford to be. Your mind had to be straightforward. You cannot pretend anymore. You cannot make excuses anymore. Questions, comments? If not, tonight is a special night for the Koreans. There's so many of them. That's why I talk so much. I apologize for taking so much. But Merry Christmas to all of you in Asia, in Korea. Okay, I hope you learned something. And thank you all here. And let's go back to our training. Okay? Thank you. See you next time.